I will ask at this time as to the 5 counts, felony counts that were charged in the criminal complaint that was filed on December 29th of 2022. Are you waiving your right to a speedy preliminary hearing and agreeing that that hearing can be held outside the 14-day period?
Yes.
So that is the accused Idaho student's murderer waiving his right to a speedy preliminary hearing, but that preliminary hearing is going to happen. And it's going to happen next month, and you'll see it right here on Court TV. As we get ready for that, let's take a look back at the story Julie Janae has for us tonight.
Handcuffed and dressed in a red jail uniform, Bryan Kohberger, the PhD student, made his first appearance as a defendant in a Pennsylvania courtroom. He was arrested at home with his parents on December 30th, wanted for the murders of Madison, Kaylee, Zaina, and Ethan, 4 college students in Moscow, Idaho.
I did not imagine the investigation would lead to the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania State Police were asked for their help in his capture after Kohberger was identified as a suspect.
Mr. Kohberger was taken into custody without incident.
This news of his arrest came as a shock to the small community near the Poconos.
This place is known to be like a nice place, like it's a tourist place. It's the Mount Poconos. I mean, to hear this, it's so real for me. To be honest with you, it feels like a dream at this point.
Not only is the area better known for its scenic mountain getaways, it's more than 2,500 miles from the crime scene. Bryan Kohberger waived his right to an extradition hearing inside of this courthouse in front of a judge and a packed courtroom that included his family. That waiver started the process for his transport back to Idaho to face those 4 counts of first-degree murder.
Having read those documents and the sealed affidavits of probable cause, I definitely believe that one of the main reasons the defendant chose to waive extradition and hurry his return back to Idaho was the need to know what was in those documents.
Those documents are expected to reveal some of the evidence against Kohberger, including details about a white Hyundai Elantra the police say was in the vicinity of the victim's apartment around the time of the murders. Kohberger was driving a similar car when he was pulled over by Indiana police on December 15th. He was with his father on their way from Washington State back to their home in Pennsylvania. Kohberger was a graduate student at Washington State University in Pullman, the campus just minutes away from the apartment where the victims were slain.
In law enforcement, we understand the best thing we can do for victims and their families is to follow every lead, collect every piece of evidence, and bring those responsible to justice.
All right, as we get ready for this preliminary hearing, let's bring back in our think tank, Al Wunsch, Darnell Crossland, Jennifer Brandt. Al, as this is a case where you have motions being made by the defense saying there's exculpatory evidence, right? Meanwhile, we've got DNA on the sheath from a knife at the scene of the murders. So what how are they going to, what is the alternative explanation for how his DNA could be on the sheath of a knife that was found at the scene of the murder?
Well, it's not necessarily my job as defense counsel to do that. It's to put doubt in the material. I mean, what's the alternative explanation other than the fact that they found a glove? They found a glove, and you know that the glove.
There's no glove. No, go back to the 90s with the glove. Stop with the glove already. Well, it's about the sheath of a knife. The sheath. What is the explanation for that? Are they? You think they're going to argue that it was planted there by police? They somehow
DNA is that came out from somewhere. I don't know where, but I just heard that in my head that transferred DNA, and also a situation that, you know, they're starting to talk about the fact that maybe that he had some interaction with these people once before. And that there was something around like that. So, you know, I mean, you're starting to look into a situation that it isn't as cut and dry as we had thought it was going to be, and that he doesn't just pick these people out of nowhere, that there may have been some sort of relationship at some point in time. And I'm not saying that's true or not, but it's just that there's enough that they can point to to try to throw doubt on the fire, to try to start, instead of throwing gasoline, throw water on the fire that's going forward. Do I think it's going to work? I do not think it's going to work.
Right.
I mean,
I get it. I get it. I'm just trying to. And I like your doubt fire reference there, Jennifer Brandt. Let's think about this. Like, they got his car everywhere, right? At least it's a car similar to the one that he's driving every single where, right? They've got his cell phone pinging. They've got his DNA. His cell phone is turned off at certain times. They've got him on surveillance video leaving his apartment. They've got all these pieces, but I'm hearing from them that they're saying exculpatory. Exculpatory to me means I had nothing to do with this, somebody else did it. And I'm trying to figure out how on earth they get around all that other evidence. Is there something I'm not seeing here?
I don't think so, Vinny. I don't think they get around it at all. I think you're seeing what everybody else is seeing, and the facts are the facts. I mean, he was in the vicinity. The sheath was there. I mean, even if he had some knowledge or knew these people or had some interaction with them, it doesn't mean anything. I mean, he was still in their apartment, around the area, the cell phone, all the other evidence. It seemed like he even wanted to be found with leaving the sheath there. I just think there's so much here. He clearly didn't have any kind of relationship that anyone knows about with these kids. So there's really no excuse. And I can't imagine what kind of exculpatory evidence they're coming up with. I think it's just they're trying their best to throw doubt on it like all defendants do, but I don't know. It'll be interesting to see.
All right, Darnell, let me ask you, like, and let's say he's got he can write the check clears everything else, and he wanted to retain you. Would this case break the streak? Would this be the one that would break the streak? Is this the one where you're like, oh, all right, I'll do it because I'm a defense attorney, I believe in the system, the process, but my winning streak might be at risk?
Well, first of all, my winning streak is not at risk here. But let's talk about exculpatory evidence. It doesn't mean that the person is innocent. It means that the prosecution is in possession of something that may tend to prove this person is innocent. And it's up to us as a defense attorney to collect all of that. Now, we saw that in the killer clown trial. So if there was a clown convention in town and the prosecution knew about that, they should let us know that. There's other times where the prosecution has some bit of evidence that we should have. And I think that's all they're doing. So they have the preliminary hearing that says the prosecution has to prove that there's probable cause to believe. They have the burden to show that. And in doing so, we get a first look at what they have. And so I think they're on the right track of collecting everything that may be a benefit to the defendant, and then they'll see where they go from that. So I think that's where we start. I do all my preliminary hearings. I don't waive any of them. And it's almost a trial before a trial. And that's what keeps the streak going.
All right. And by the way, footnote, killer clown, that was not exculpatory evidence, the clown convention sheet. She pleaded guilty. Okay. Guests are staying with us. When we come back, we're going to talk about Alec Murdaugh, the book.